Welcome to the session Data Meets Connection Approaches for Making Impactful Mentoring Matches. In this session, we will explore how to design a matching process for mentors and mentees that can truly set their mentoring up for success. So the session will led by two Mentor Together's key team members, Ashita and Vidya Raghavan. Ashita is a social work graduate. She started her career with Mentor Together in 2021. She works as a lead in designing our alumni placement tracking and in leading a new project with mentors and families on promoting positive gender norms. Joining her is Vidya, Associate Director of Research and Evaluation at Mentor Together. She holds a master's in development studies. And she's a trained teacher and also a chartered accountant. I welcome Vidya and Ashita.
It feels kind of weird to be on this stage when there's only 4 people in the room.
We'll talk about today, we'll look at it in like two broad phases, but one phase is quite small and the other is the bigger phase. So we'll just look at what research says about matching and what makes for good matches in mentorship programs. And then Ashita will take us through what Mentor Together does with matching, how we match our mentors to our mentees, etc. And hopefully we'll spend a reasonable amount of time with you all trying to think about this in any mentoring context that you might have, or you want to work with, etc. So that's how this will work, right? Okay.
So to get started, and since we are a small group, we would like to ask you a question like where you can think around, like if you were looking for, is this all right? Yeah, if you were looking, is this better? Yeah, okay. Yeah, so meaning a question for you all would be like, what would you think of something, if you're looking for a mentor or a mentee, like if you want to find a mentor or a mentee, what is something that truly you will look for? Maybe one by one. Yeah, you want.
First of all, interested in mentoring. The mentor and mentee needs to get connected. Are they interested in mentoring?
Okay, the question would be like, maybe you have to just imagine that if you as a person, I need a mentor for myself. Or maybe like I want to become a mentor, but for this I need a mentee, right? So if you need someone, what is something that you are looking for, to find that person? I mean like a quality or something that you're looking for in the person. Ready to commit time. You wanted to say something.
Yeah, I talk as a mentor for a mentee, commitment,
Commit.
attitude, and quality of output.
Quality of output. Yes, thanks for sharing. Yeah, and what are your names?
I'm Venkat.
Venkat and Karthi. Karthi. Okay, others? Willing to learn and unlearn. Okay, I mean like, are you looking to find a mentor or a mentee? Okay, if you are looking for a mentor, then okay, willing to learn and unlearn. Okay, any other thoughts? Yeah. Okay, either side if you're looking at it's willingness to give and the feedback and what you actually receive. Okay, thanks for sharing. So meaning, yeah. Okay.
Maybe you can help us understand. What did you think that you wanted and what you ended up getting?
So I think what I want is somebody who's interested in. Okay. In a mentee, maybe I can answer like both. Like in a mentee, what I would want is somebody who is really receptive and eager to be part of the process and looking forward to getting something. Whether I'm able to give or not is a different matter, but they are really looking forward to getting something out of the relationship. They have a lot of things that they really want. So that eagerness to engage, eagerness to commit time, etc., eager. In a mentor, if I want a mentor today, I want somebody who's able to not just state that XYZ, like for me, I'm a mid-career or, I have to go up and let things like that, rather than give certain theoretical knowledge or even if it's practical, trying to match that with where I am and understanding, so the ability to understand what is it that I'm looking for, and that is something that's not everybody might have. Somebody might be really good at where they are in their career, but are they able to give me, and also being a mentor, not really tell me do X, Y, Z, but rather, be able to tell me the way I can then take those decisions. So.
I just wanted to add is like, as a mentee, what I will typically expect is like, what is the benefit for me from a mentor? What is the benefit? End of day, I'm going through some training or anything from a mentor. What is the ultimate benefit that I'm going to get out of this? That is what a mentee will be at the starting stages, at least, to know what is it. That's it.
Now only I understood the question. Sorry, morning, same place I attended a session on how to select mentees kind of, so I was still in that mode. So now I understood. So if I am a mentee, from my mentor, what I look forward is, can I learn something useful for my career? And if I'm a mentor, will I be able to deliver value to that person, right? And will I be able to add value to them? That's what I will look at as a mentor. Yeah.
Thank you all of you for sharing.
We're all being very serious about this though.
Yes. Yeah, so I mean, like, see, all of us have, right? Like, if we want a mentor or a mentee, all of us have our requirements, what we are looking for. So, I mean, in today's session, we will actually look at our research evidence, what it states, and at Mentor Together also, how we have developed or what we are actually looking at to work on our matches. So, yeah, over to Ditya for the research.
Can we see the next slide, Dinesh? Yeah, I think we already spoke about this quickly. We'll just talk about research and what is the evidence that's available. What is the evidence that's available on? What is the evidence that's available on research? On matching. We'll talk briefly about what Mentor Together does as their own matching process, and hopefully spend some reasonable amount of time trying to get you all to think about it as well, right? So one of the first or the most primary grounding pieces of research that our matching process is rooted in is what is called the voice and choice framework, where young people are given agency first, right? Even though, in our program we match, they are essentially adults, but still young people to older mentors. But the matching process starts with the mentees, who will first tell us will give us voice, right? Voice to their preferences. And then we also give them the first choice, right? So this is a framework that grounds us quite deeply in the way that we match, that the young people have the voice and that they have the choice, right? And also researchers found that in using this approach and giving young people more agency, they are more committed, they are more involved. And you're also, in some sense, at the very outset of a mentoring relationship, building their skills to solve problems, right? Like they have to think about, hey, what do I want, right? And not go into this really not knowing why am I entering a mentoring relationship, right? So we ask them questions about what they want in the beginning, and then we give them the choice of mentors. The details of it, of course, Ashita will talk to, but this is the broad framing. You see the next one. And then, of course, there is like what is considered almost gospel in the mentoring practice over like almost 100 years of research, primarily in North America, but some of the principles really apply, we think, universally, and we've just tried to pull out the ones that made sense in our context. And with matching, of course, right, we have to consider characteristics of the people we are matching. And we take this information from both parties, from mentors and from mentees, and this is all self-reported by them. What are your interests? What's your gender? What languages do you speak? What's your domain of education? What times can you meet at? What are your hobbies? Essentially try to understand what are we dealing with, like who is the individual that we're trying to match, right? So that's information that we take quite early in the program from our mentors and our mentees. And also that we set up the first conversation and we kind of mediate the first conversation
and someone, was it you who asked me earlier this morning about virtual and is it possible to make connection? And so in order to sort of build the first connection when the match is made, we also mediate the first conversation just to make sure ice is broken, and then, it's a reasonable start to the mentorship, right? So these are the two pieces of research that ground our matching process as such. Yes.
Turn that off. Yeah.
Yeah.
When you say mediate, right, the way I'm visualizing is there is a platform, mentor-mentee comes, mentor initiates, so some connect is made on the online platform.
Yes.
So even before they get onto a Zoom call or something like that, you would kind of intervene and then start off that Zoom call for them.
So Ashita will tell you exactly the details of how it happens, but
Yeah, so maybe
much
the
before
next
the
slides.
app, there is personal conversation with our team, etc. She'll tell you exactly
So
how it
I'll
happens.
actually take you through that and then maybe add on to a point like with your question. Yeah. Okay, so now in detail we are going to understand at Mentor Together particularly like how we do the matching. And maybe like before we get started with that, maybe I'll just give you all an overview around what the program is. Okay, and a little objective on that so that you can relate to how our program is and then how we have identified our process. So ours is completely a digital mentoring. It's app-based. So there is no requirement for our mentees or mentors to travel. It's everything through app they connect, and we have mentors, mentees across India or, a couple of mentors from abroad as well. So that's, on the geography part of it. So coming to, and the main purpose is to make our students work ready. So majority of our students are undergraduate students in their pre-final year or final year programs, and we have different mentoring programs that we do. Okay, so how, for this mentoring program, how we have identified some of the match preference. I guess this is coming out of the first question where all of you reflected it. If you were to get a mentor or a mentee, what is something that you would look for? So while designing our program, these are the criteria or the matching preferences that we have identified based on which a mentee can express out, okay, that I want a mentor from any of this or maybe multiple things or all of them. Okay, so maybe we'll look at all of them in detail and understand why this is actually selected looking at our program, what we are delivering. So the first one is career domains. So the purpose around career domains is like this will actually, like if a mentee gets a mentor from the same career background where they want to build their career, I mean, it's ideally around getting the exposure or having a clarity or having, clarity on what to do after they complete this to step into it. And for example, examples like, mentees might select like, I want a mentor who has completed computer science and, or is in the IT field itself, okay? And they would like to connect with that mentor itself. So it's on the domain preference that they need a mentor. Either, they can select multiple options also. Maybe any engineering background, mentor is okay for me. Or I want a mentor specifically from the biotechnology background. Okay, so meaning these are preferences, what they select, and why we have considered this because of, making them work ready or their interest looking at the program. Okay. Then the second preference is language. Okay, so since our program actually focuses on mentees who come from the disadvantaged background, and we have students across India, and as I mentioned, mentors are also across India. So while matching and then considering their other preferences also, language is also something that we consider. So we find mentees sometimes that who are not comfortable or not much fluent to speak in English. So at that point, we do understand if they have any regional language preference for their mentors, so that they can connect with them, and moreover, like connecting, and since it's a long-term mentorship, it goes for 4 to 6 months where they connect virtually, they speak out. So that language is something that helps them to connect. Okay, and sometimes like we also find mentees who can speak English, but they are not much open but they have the potential. So I'll cover to that, like, how we come all of that. At that point, we do ask them like, maybe if they can speak with a mentor who speaks English, maybe they can build their language as well. So that's also considered. But if there is a urgent, on a high level requirement, language is something that is catered. Then time, as one of the point that we have mentioned, like if you have to connect with a person, time is something, your available time looking at your week, any slots you have, that's something that we connect. Then education degree. Some mentees do prefer that I want a mentor who has also studied the same course as mine. Okay, so it would be like if it's BTech in computers, BTech, maybe like BTech I want, or maybe BCom. I want a mentor who has done BCom. So maybe the reason might be they would like to understand more specifics around the course itself, the subject what they are doing. Okay, then followed by that is a field of study, which would be the subject or the specialization of the mentor. So meaning same what mentors have done, they want it. Then comes gender. So this is another factor. Like some people have their individual preferences and they feel much, they feel to connect with others based on the gender. So that's other preference that we give. Yes.
One related question here is, that's okay.
It's for the recording, sorry.
Oh, okay, fine. So one of the things I want to know is this matching preferences criteria. There is something known as mutually, exhaustive, collectively exhaustive, mutually exclusive, and collective MECE, right? So you have come up with 6 parameters. We in our lingo, data analytics, we call this as attributes. Basically, you found out 6 attributes. So do you have some insights into how you arrived at this and what happens to do the actual matching? In terms of the algorithm, etc., I'd be interested, just out of curiosity.
You are constantly preempting what we're going to tell you next.
Okay, thank you.
That's the actual next of it. Yeah, so, yes.
We do
So,
have to learn that.
yes, I'll be actually showing you how we do and all of that. So you'll be visually seeing it as well. So this is just around how we have identified the preference related to the need of the program for whom we are delivering. So we have, understood them and kept them as a primary focus for them, what would be important, and we have understood and identified these preferences. Okay, next slide. Yeah, so this actually shows some of the stats, okay, like of our mentees itself from 2018 to 2023 around the match preferences selected by the mentees. So we have seen that language, career domain, and time, these are the most preferred by majority of our mentees, like the ratio that if you see. And the reason would be like the reasons that I mentioned, like their regional language preference or the domain or looking at the need, their need itself. And
So almost 40,000 young people. And is there anything that's surprising in here?
Actually, when I was speaking with one of your mentee over here, they were saying the time was chosen by them after speaking with the mentors. So then how does this point come into?
That's the final one.
Yeah. So you have to give your preferences. Let's say I'm a mentee. I say, okay, I'm
Actually, the
available.
mentee told me that after the connection has established,
Correct.
during the first call,
Of course,
we
yeah.
speak with the mentor
Correct.
and then we both mutually.
Okay, so I have to give, as a mentee, 5 slots. As a mentor, I will also give 5 slots. And the matching happens based on that. But eventually, of those 5, which is the one you want to choose, that will get decided when you meet your mentor.
That is what I'm saying. That I asked to the mentee. What the mentee said is that was not decided by the team. It was decided by us.
yeah, so maybe that would be like after the mentee got a mentor, right? So we are a step back where we're talking about matching. So in matching the preferences that we set it, I guess in the next slide I'll be explaining around like how we collect the information. Okay, so at that point it's around there's a survey a mentee fills right at the beginning, like questions like maybe around time. Okay, they get from Monday to Sunday, every day 3 slots we have provided. They select their preference. I mean, this is just around the matching. Same survey, similar survey is actually taken by our mentors also. So she must be knowing. They also select their available time. Okay, and for matching, it's looking at what matches and then match gets created. So what the mentee might have answered would be like mentorship got matched, got created with a common slot. But it's not necessary that they have to connect in that slot throughout their 4 months. Right, so all the time looking at their availability for the week, they might decide and then change. So that's the next part of it. But we're looking at how we do the matching, what are things that are considered for matching. Yeah.
What does this 27% means when you say language is 27%?
Yes, so it's ideally like looking at the match preferences selected by all the mentees, just a split around 100%, like which match preference is taking majority.
So, for example, so you give a form like where different matches questions you ask, people need to choose which is my preferences, right? Or time is my preference, career domain is my preference, language is my preference. That's what you're trying to say. When you say 27%, when you give the form to 100 people, they pick 27% of the students pick language as their first preference.
Right.
That's what you mean to say.
That's right. 27% have picked language, there are 25% who have picked career domain. Okay, and it can be multiple also. I mean, people can be repeated across.
And
Yeah.
most people pick multiple. But these are about what's my first preference. What's the most important?
Leading in the preference, that's what we are showing here.
Taken
Yes.
And this is only the first preference, basically. Yes. This is not multiple ticks. Only the first one.
They can pick only one, sir.
No, they can select, I think they can select all.
All, select all as well. Yes, it's a checkbox, multi-choice, no limits there.
So it's very surprising that people want, suppose I am, say, a Telugu guy. So I want a Telugu kind of a mentor. And that tops. To me, it is,
It's actually interesting for us also because, and I think it speaks to what the program, where the program delivers, and it's not in the big cities. It's in the smaller cities. And as a result, like Ashita was saying, may not be very comfortable with English. So then I want someone I can actually express myself with, and that becomes a regional language thing.
a related question. See, given that we have a mentor here, see, one of the biggest grouses that I hear about the Gen Z or the younger generation is that time pe aate nahi. Basically, the commitment is something that they don't do, right? So from horse's mouth mentor, I want to understand before I kind of put my skin in the game. Is that true that out of say 10 people, one or two only will commit to the time? It aligns with the question that he asked as to why mentors should be driving the timings once the initial connect is made rather than the other way around.
She want to take that in.
I mean, with my limited few interact whatever I've done. So for one, I try to kind of make it like any official. Yeah, so the way I try to drive my relationship with the mentee is that I say that imagine you have joined an organization, I'm your manager. So if you want time with me, you need to set up the time. So I make sure that they set up the calendar, they send me an invite. That itself takes some 3-4 months because they don't remember. Because Saturday morning, 10 o'clock mentoring session, they'll send at 9. And then I say that, see, and I showed once, and I showed how I have my daughter's dance class and art class and her PTM and my official calendar all in together. And I said, if you don't appear here and I'm not prepared for it, I'll cancel it. You will not be there. So you need to book my time. So, I try to, because that's what they're going to join after a year or so, right? So one is onus is on them to keep the time. And changing calendar, for example, they have come on time, but they come unprepared. And they come. And I tell this is not acceptable. And I give examples from organizations saying, if you come unprepared for a meeting, now my calendar is not available for 2-3 weeks. That's what happens with our managers in office, right? 2-3 weeks, it's gone. I said, you're gone. How will you deliver your project? Right? So I try to help them understand the importance of keeping to the time. So I've not had a problem of not coming, but it's more like not being prepared, etc., not sending calendar invites. Those kind of things happen. Because of course they're students, they're in college, they show up. And in my experience.
I will... Sir, so I could typically say, if the student is, this other perspective I'm adding. If the student is not showing up, you pick the right student. Because that person really needs mentoring.
So you have the option of cancelling a student if you are not keen on taking that forward?
See, that's what I'm trying to say. If a student is not showing up, that student only needs mentoring because he or she needs help basically. That's one way to look into the problem. The second way we look into it is, for example, say at Team Everest, the NGO that we run, we have done mentoring for almost now 8-9 years now. And more than lakhs of calls we have done. And what we have looked into was, over a period of time, you can't force anyone. Like you can take an horse to the water, but it's a responsible horse to drink it, right? Over the period of time, what we have done is we have not mandated it. Just like how a volunteer needs to opt in, the student also needs to opt in. Then your dropout rate will come down. Still, we are getting reasons why I can't do the session, all those seriousness. Because see, what happens is, he's a professional with 10 years, 15 years experience, expecting professional behavior from a college student. Now, if we go back to our college students, how we have behaved, we would have exactly behaved the same way actually. So, empathy also plays a very crucial role on, okay, that's a problem, I understand, but I am not very unhappy with it. Some people even get angry, they have stopped our donations and all, that you're not picking the right student and everything. But that's where the role of empathy from the mentor also comes into play, if you ask me. But ideally, there's no point a mentor getting angry. We educate the students, still some mistakes honestly happen.
So, see, that beats, in my last session, the same question I asked, that beats the very purpose, because the whole world is running on stack ranking, and it has been proven by research that aptitude and attitude are highly correlated. For example, a topper in a class also is sincere and fairly honest and therefore gets good recommendations, goes to better universities. So since that correlation is there, it's a very tough game, because if you look at stack ranking, maybe the cohort that you're starting with itself is from the bottom cohort. And therefore, the expectations are only so much. And suddenly you're matching them with somebody like he's saying a donor who comes with corporate experience. So I don't know. I mean, it's a very tough game.
People get angry. Donors get angry. See, we have scenarios where mentees have blocked mentors, but that's a different topic. I don't want to deviate. But just to tell you, my question is, if people would have picked so many choices, right? Why does the pie adds up to 100 then? If they have the chosen language, career domain, time also. Yes.
So you have, what is your first preference? Right? So I can only have one first preference. So then obviously it'll add up to 100.
That's what we asked you. Can they choose multiple preferences?
Chart is only on the first.
So that will be like language, drop down like where you click and say first preference, then second preference like that. Okay.
This is only the first preference.
First preferences, got it.
So they can, yes it does. And they can also say.
I don't need a mic like. No, it's not a question. Can we just hold the questions for the end of the session?
Sure. I mean, it's a small group, so then people interacting. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So maybe like, right. Yes. Yeah. So maybe like one more slide and then one or two more slides where we'll be discussing around how we actually do, followed by the demo, and then that's it. And we can take the discussions and it can be okay. Yeah. So the next slide. Yeah. So this is ideally around the voice and choice approach, what she mentioned as, what Vidya has mentioned around the research and how we actually do. So with Collect, like as I mentioned, right, when they enroll, it's ideally through app and there is a survey that pops up to them, which has all the relevant questions capturing their, background information like the education, the field of study, or, the time preferences, or, their mentoring needs as such, or, a descriptive question around why they actually need a mentor also. We have some of the questions they fill in at that point. So that's around Collect, where a mentee, they themselves look at it and then they, select it. Then the next thing is around how the clarification, right? How we actually clarify. So we at Mentor Together, team members, we connect with these students. So meaning once they have submitted, we get their responses, their information, their preferences, what they have submitted. So we actually connect with them on a 1:1 base, try to understand the reason why they have selected, like, for maybe like the matching preferences. If a person has selected all of them, all the options, we would like to understand like if it's really required or if there's a flexibility, like, if it's not required for the person at all. Maybe like, sometimes we have understood, like, when we actually interact with our students, like, with examples that you have mentioned, right? So when you educate them or you give them situations, they say like, yeah, I can actually manage. So meaning they actually empower themselves and then they say like, I am willing to take it up, or I am okay with, mentor who does not align with my gender. So meaning they are okay with, or we actually explore around the time availability, like, are you really available at this time slot, or is there a possibility to extend, or we actually clarify whatever they have selected and we have that information stored in our system. Okay, then what happens next is the choice. Okay, that's around how the matching happens. So this is the main thing, like, at Mentor Together, how matching we do, it's a mutual matching. So with mutual matching, what we mean to say is a mentee has an option to select the mentor. A mentor also has an option to select a mentee. If both of them accept each other, then only the mentorship gets created. Okay, and how we do this is something what I'm going to explain. Okay, this maybe I'll complete it because otherwise there will be a lot of questions that would come. Okay, so the mutual matching, how it happens, like how a mentee selects or a mentor selects, it's always mentee driven, meaning like, looking at, the program that we are delivering for, which is for our students, for the youth. So we give them the first preference, the choice for them to select their mentor first. Okay, and then whichever mentor they select, then mentors get to see and then they take an action. And how, this is the theoretical part of it. So how it all happens is through the app itself. They complete the survey. Okay, we have our algorithm that is all set up. Since it's completely tech, we have an algorithm that is structured. So once they are in our matching process, okay, so our algorithm runs, picks up applications. For a mentee, like looking at the preferences shortlisted by the mentees, mentor profiles will be picked up based on what aligns. Okay, like if for example, if a mentee has selected that I want a mentor whose time aligns with mine, my gender, and my career domain, 3 preferences. Algorithm will look for a mentor where these three options are selected and one of the, at least one of the time available should match. Okay, that's how. And these applications, like at max, a mentee gets to see 3 mentor profiles at a time in their app itself. Okay, so we have Android and web versions, so meaning they can see it there. And they get to see the details also, maybe some basic, the background, where they are working, the company name, or maybe the role, or the time slot selected by the mentor, or, the education or field or study, the detailing of it would be given, and a mentee gets an option to either accept or reject. They can do it. Okay, so that's the first thing what happens. That's what we mean by mentee-driven. A mentee takes an action in their application. They can even reject. Okay, so if a mentee accepts one or all 3 mentors, that mentee profile will be then shown to the mentor or mentors, if all 3. Then they get to see the mentee profile. Okay, this is the education background. This is what, these are their preferences. These are their time slots or whatever. And if mentor is also interested, or if they feel that there's an alignment with me. For example, like one of the points that you mentioned is the relatability, like, the give and take, or where they can connect, right? So, all of this is something where mentee and mentor looks at it, and then they make the choice. If I want to connect, be a mentor or a mentee for this person, then they make a choice, and then they take an action. So if 3 mentors get to see 1 mentee, the first ever person who accepts, they get matched. Okay, so this is how our app works, and the look of it, the visual of it. We have couple of clips, and I'll be explaining along with it. The first video, if you can play. No. Yeah, definitely. So meaning, that's a good question. So if a mentee rejects all 3 of them shown, those mentors won't be informed about it at all. That's one point, okay, that they are not informed. No, same profiles won't be repeated for those mentees. So our algorithm has all these rules, and it's all actually set that way. That's one thing. And the other point that you had mentioned, right? There was one more point, like if they reject and more recommendations, right? So our algorithm actually runs every day twice. So it's actually structured, and more mentors comes into it, and the top 3, it actually, so there's a scoring that actually is done based on which those profiles will be shown. So it keeps on, and
We're all still learning. Okay. The thing is, we don't show face.
yes. So this is the screen actually. Hope all of you can see it clearly, right? Yeah, so this is the screen a mentee sees in their application. Okay, so if you can just go back, Mamta, a little. Yeah, just pause. Okay, yeah, so this is the screen, and then a maximum of 3 mentors. Looking at the availability, it can be 3 or maybe 2. If the mentee has a lot of preferences and we have only 2 mentors, only 2 will be shown. But at max, it would be 3. Okay, and what they get to see would be. Okay, so yes, we have just recorded it. So yeah, in Read More, it's ideally around, a little information around what is there in the app, like overview of it. There's an eye icon, and they can actually select them, and there's a time limit also that we provide, that they have to take an action within 5 days or it will expire. Okay, and then they have an option to accept or reject, like with the tick or cross mark. And there is this eye icon that is there. So I guess it will be coming. Okay, so this eye icon that is there, it will actually show, more details of the mentor. So meaning under each and every mentor's name, you can see, the role and the career domain ideally. Okay, the field of it is shown. Okay, and this is what you see in the eye icon. Okay, like the first thing that you see in one is like mentors have an option. How many mentees they would like to mentor? Is it 1, 2, or 3? Okay, so here it was selected 1, the domain preference selected by the mentor. Okay, the gender, languages. Okay, so this is about the mentor, and for all 3 mentors, you can see them separately. And what is highlighted here is something that is matching. Okay, so meaning English is something that is common, selected between this mentee and the mentor. Okay, so that is highlighted for that person. Okay, and with time also the course, and what is matching is their matching preferences are matching, and hence these are the slots. Okay, and you can almost move towards the end. Okay, and here in this video, it's ideally showing around rejecting all 3 mentors. Okay, so it can be a combination of any, rejecting 2, accepting 1, but you will have to take action on all 3. Then only it will be stored. So it's, rejecting, and what we show them, like, a mentee after the reject is like, we are looking for matches for young. This is the answer to your question, like where more recommendations will be shared with them or not. The next algorithm, when it runs, more profiles will be displayed. Okay, and these three won't be repeated again for this mentee. Okay, now the pause. Yes, right. Yeah, and there's one more thing around, like mentee changing requirement. They can't do it on their own. Okay, once a mentee or mentor selects their preference, they can't make any changes. But we are there as mediators, team members, like where we have connected, like for that 1:1 connect. So if there is a requirement or if there is a change, they can actually inform us. Accordingly, we can make the changes, and then algorithm will pick it accordingly. Okay, so yeah, so this video is around, like, accepting, okay, like clicking on the tick mark. If a mentee, goes through it, and then, yeah, you can play, Mamta.
You're like the back-end engineers, basically. I said, hey, go back and then back-end I will change. Don't worry.
Yeah, so here we can actually see that this mentee, you can play it, okay? Accepts 2, rejects 1. Okay, and then what a mentee sees will be like, we are looking for, mentors to get back. So ideally, now these two mentors will see this mentee in their application. Okay, video 3 if you actually play. Okay, and this is what happens, like, after they take an action, that, we are waiting to hear back from the mentor, okay, and the days, and the moment a mentor accepts the mentorship, that page will be actually opened. Okay, so this is about it. Mamta, you can go to the next one. Yeah, so that's a point around, like, where we give, the interval as such. Okay, meaning a mentee who sees mentor profiles, they have to take action within 5 days, or it automatically expires. We won't keep them waited. So, and it's ideally around, like, they should take time, or they get notifications also. But if and all, it doesn't happen, inaction expiry, and like above, auto expires in 4 days, all of it. Okay, so this is a notification, and they can also see. Okay, they have to take action within this day, this time, or else this will be taken away. They can't do it.
So the question was around, if I have accepted 2 mentors in the previous, like you showed, and both the mentors reject me as a mentee, then what happens?
Then again, our algorithm will pick up new mentors. Okay, like as a same. Okay, if mentors are not responding, then again that expires. Then new mentors will be picked up. Okay, if it is reject, there is no limit as such. It goes on till they are matched. But ideally, we do keep timelines for a matching process, like at least within 2 weeks. At 14 days is something that, after they complete all this discussion, like at least 14 days is a good time we consider, because extending that also affects them. So there are, that's a different component, but timing, yeah.
14 days is running twice, you've seen 28 iterations potentially, right? So if you can't find a match in 28 iterations, unlikely they have anything in the pool for you.
And you don't see any match at all for a particular mentee.
That also happens, like, for example, a mentee who has very specific preference, okay, and if we don't have a mentor aligning to those preferences at that point, maybe like an MBBS mentor, maybe looking at, like, the mentors that we have and the fields. So for us, it might be from other sectors. So that is something we will actually keep them posted that, this will take time. Meaning, if, as team members, when we connect, we also know, like, where are the mentor pool or what is it. And all these necessary information we do pass on to mentees so that they are also prepared. And if they have to take an action also, we also let them know, okay, that there's something that you have to do. Hey, look at it. Yes. We do inform them. If that is the case, maybe during that 1:1 discussion itself, we clarify. Okay, this is something that if we don't have, we tell them, is there a possibility that you want to look for any domain, or maybe like a generic mentoring, or maybe anything else that you feel might align well. Okay, but if something is a challenge, that's something we really call it out at that moment, and because we don't want them to wait for so long. And we do monitor, like if that is not happening, we again reach out. We do proactively tell them that, okay, this is something that's not working, let's do what. Yeah.
My question is, how long the student is to say, I've asked for a particular requirement. One-on-one you told, okay, we'll try our best, get back to you. But you're not able to find. How long
2 weeks.
a mentee will?
2 weeks, at the end of 2 weeks, we'll make a decision one way or another.
If we are, at a point that, we are not finding anyone, we'll tell them, okay, if you want this and we don't have, I guess that's a point where we can't move further then, right? So that would be, and we'll definitely let them know, like, if we find a person, we'll get back. Yeah.
What percentage of mentees right now you find a mentor actually?
We are not able to find, you mean to say? I guess that's pretty, I mean, not much. I mean, very few point. Yes, very negligible, I would say, yeah.
But also is a factor of where we go for to access the students. We have a good sense of where our mentors will come from, and we target similar colleges, so that we have the team has a good sense of the fact that matches will get made.
Right. Looking at the poll itself, we actually, I mean, that's on the screening part, or, I mean, a step back, how we identify, so that both works out simultaneously and there's no delay as such what to come up.
What is your outreach like? Like, do you go to colleges and that's the specific kind of
Recruitment colleges.
So it's not open to public or anybody
You can
can
sign up. Everyone can sign up. But our primary route is colleges.
So how do, if I know a mentee and wants to sign up on your platform, what do? They write to you?
No, it's not meant to go. It's an Android app.
It's an Android app. We have web version also. They just go to and there's a support and everything, they'll be guided, like what is the next thing, and they'll be taken through that.
That's my hypothetical question actually. Thanks to you. So for example, one of the social media posts suddenly goes up very viral, and you get so many mentors. I do not have a mentee. Or a mentee post, a mentor together is so great, and suddenly you get 2,000, 3,000 mentees. Where will you find the mentors quickly within 2 weeks? That's how will you handle such scenarios?
So that
You
is,
might not have, I don't know, you might have not faced it. But I'm asking you in such a model, how such things would work.
so there's actually, so the 2 weeks we were talking about with respect to matching, there's actually a lot a mentee has to do to come to that point. Because we do, to tackle situations like you were saying, right? We have to gauge commitment, right? We have to understand,
So what is
will
the
you
time
actually
period?
do? So sometimes they take over 4 weeks, 6 weeks to finish that process. Because they have to do some self-learning, etc. So it's never, I mean, it's very rare actually that a mentee has done everything in 2 days, and we don't have a mentor for 2 weeks. That situation happens, I don't know that it happens very often at all.
And again, another scenario. For example, if I say a partner like Indian comes and tells us to sponsor 500 students.
Yes.
Now what would you do? After the supply kicks in, you will go and identify the mentees basically. Or you will identify mentees, then identify the mentors.
There is lead time for both. Mentors also have pre-match some work to do. So we always have between knowing a mentor is going to sign up and knowing a mentee is going to sign up, I mean, groups of mentees, we have at least 4 weeks to prep, right? So knowing that one end has started, we have 4 weeks to prep the other end. So usually that big a mismatch is not seen by us, because also we have reasonable plans of outreach for the whole year. Like the team, all of them are here, they know what they're going to do till March, both at the mentee end and the mentor end. So unless some fluke thing happens, like you were saying, where social media has gone viral, which we've not planned for, other than that, the 2 tracks actually are well planned for good 6 months ahead, right?
Right, yeah. Just the final video. So this is the screen of what a mentor sees, similar to how you see a mentee. So meaning, this is the mentee who has accepted the mentor, and that eye icon, when they click on, they get to see the information, select, and the moment they actually select the mentorship, this mentorship tab, okay, this is a default survey that comes up, but the mentorship tab that comes up and the sessions are displayed, showing their partner details as such. So, I mean, this is how our matching happens on the, I mean, ideally doing, showing you the visual representation of what happens in our app, or how they see it, or how they take an action. Okay, so yeah, that's about our, about what we do at Mentor Together. And yeah, any questions? And maybe, okay. And maybe like you had a question previously, right? Like, did I answer? Okay.
So I wanted to know, what are some of the regulatory mechanisms that are in place? For example, you go to colleges, a mentee signs, right? And then the mentors are spread across. Now, they can violate the platform, they can connect outside of the platform. So what are some of the regulatory mechanisms you have put in place? Checks and balances.
Yeah, do you want me to take the question? Or can you? So the first thing is, we only deal with adults, right? It's both ends of it are consenting adults. Part of the reason why we didn't go digital in a school program is because of the concerns around safety, right? And also because given how the workforce is, like a larger proportion of our mentors are male and a larger proportion of our mentees are female, right? So that's just, it's a representation of workforce, translates into our pool as well, right? So the first thing we do is we do a verification of everybody who signs up. No one will be matched either as a mentor or a mentee till a person at Mentor Together has spoken to them, has identified, has looked at their ID card. We collect IDs, etc. as well. Yes, we do. I mean, not Aadhaar, but we'll take some kind of an ID for sure, because, well, Aadhaar is controversial. We take some kind of an ID, and we definitely speak to them, look them up, etc., to know that this is a real legitimate person before we let them even have any conversation with the other end of this. This kind of verification is done for both ends of the relationship, right? Like both mentors and mentees are verified like this. And then the other thing is, no mentorship happens alone. Meaning to say, team members support every pair. So somebody in Mentor Together knows what is happening with every mentorship that we've taken on, right? And they are free to connect outside the app. We don't prevent that, because once we've made the match, if they want to share numbers, they're welcome to do that. And some conversations as a result happen outside of our platform and we don't have visibility of that. But that's, again, like I said, it's to adults, right? So we only do the checks and balances before we do the matching. And after that, of course, and both ends, they can report to us if there's any concern. Surprisingly enough, we've not had mentees ever raise anything at all, saying that a mentor is causing them any kind of grief. Sometimes mentors have complained about mentees being unresponsive, badly behaved, those things. But so far, we've not had these kind of security concerns, because like I was saying, we are very, very careful. It seems, we say it's a digital program, but the kind of human effort that goes into making this match is actually quite massive, and they're never unsupported, the pairs.
So as a mentor, what is suppose I'm not willing to share all this personal information, like what you are ID, then, because you're not paying me anything in this, right? It's a complete voluntary activity.
Correct.
What would motivate me to come and spend my time and talent?
Well, I think hopefully the motivation to mentor, because of course, fully volunteer program, we don't pay anybody to do this. And unfortunately, we cannot let people in without knowing who they are, right? And because it's an app, it's free to download. Anyone can download an app and sign up and want to do this. And we have to try quite hard to make sure it's a safe space for young people. So I don't know, actually, maybe the team can say if anyone has refused to share ID, etc. But I think you can't move forward in the process.
We do find some mentors who are a little hesitant to share their ID proofs. So, but we do have a structure or a process that at Mentor Together that we have derived that after this only we can verify and then take it further. Okay, so meaning if that is not aligning, we would actually hold the application.
I can be bold enough to say that I have cracked your system then and there. What is ID? ID is something that I can create just with 50 rupees. I can go and then create an ID and upload.
It's just not around the ID. I mean, they do complete it, but there's a verification or where we, even with mentors, we do this 1:1 call, which is not a 5 minutes, but it's, ideally takes around close to 45 or maybe.
My point is someone coming with the wrong, this is a challenge we are facing.
Yes.
From the wrong intention, right? See, one of our volunteers moved to Australia and they applied in an NGO to volunteer. Like how police comes for a verification to our home when you apply for a passport. For volunteering in Australia, people come and verify. Now, 1:1 call, what you do is a normal verification. See, because 99.99% of things will go as per plan. But for a reputation to go at stake, right, it's the 0.01% which creates that issue. You would have done 10,000 mentor-mentee pair, but one issue cracks, spoils the partnership. Right? That's where the corporates were very dangerous about. We look at the positive side of it. This is the negative piece of it, right? So how much this one is, because you don't, so do we get the police verification done, or do we have a third party like hiring and say I get hired at a corporate, they hire a third party person who does all these verification reports, done this. What if this guy would have already been a, say, sexual offender, but okay, clear the one-on-one clearance, how would you even know that? But even say the India.
What's the question?
No, the point is how safe it is, because we believe this is safe, but there's a mechanism to track this also.
Right. I understand your point. I mean, like, this is something that can come up, or, that may come up, which, but there's a screening, as I mentioned, right? We have our set of questions, or how we do discussions, what all we actually explore on, like talking to a mentor, or, understanding their background. Like, there are specific things that we explore. So, I mean, and then only, like, if we are pretty sure, then only we take it ahead. And then throughout their mentoring journey, there are team members who are throughout connected, even with the mentee. I mean, yeah.
That's it's like a speed breaker versus an ambulance.
Right. Yeah.
Speed breaker is the ambulance is like after the accident happens,
Yeah.
your team member will figure it out.
Right.
I am asking you, how do we prevent before the damage? That's what the speed breaker does, right?
The short answer to the question is, we do the best we can, essentially. I'm not saying it's 100% fail-proof, but any risk, in any program there is a risk, you have to manage the risk. You can't
That is
eliminate
a
the
problem.
risk.
See,
right?
I understand.
Yeah.
It's like stepping outside it, there's a road accident that could happen. Doesn't mean
Yeah.
that we don't go there. But some of the corporates don't take up that
We've actually
narrative
so
of the
far-
challenge.
We haven't seen as such. So, I mean, with our practice, that's what I mean. Our screening is, but I do understand. I mean, things may come up. I mean, but at that point also, like, we will, yeah.
If I put in, say, I'm just simply telling you, I put in 100 people and I plant, say, a wrong person inside, do you think our system can identify it?
Sure. Yeah, so, I got it.
Run a mock,
Yes.
And we see, even we run a mentoring program, our system could also not detect it. So my question is, because for the reputation to go at stake, all it takes is one thing to go wrong, entire thing comes to a standstill. That is the thing that
We
is
get
on
it.
the
I think we understand the point. And I honestly, I cannot say that it's 100% fail-proof, right? That's the short and the long answer of this. The only thing is, most of our mentors as well are recruited through corporate partnerships. So we know the company this person is coming from most of the time, right? So it's not, we have some, of course, people who sign up can just download the app and sign up. But most of the time we have, including company name designation, I can look you up on LinkedIn. But if you could be a person with an Indian tension, even if you are VP at Amazon, right? So
that has happened in one of the
I just think we don't have the answer to you.
Right,
It's not 100% safe.
I
Sure.
just going to ask you that question. You kind of answered it, but what is the ratio of general volunteers versus corporate partnership volunteers?
It's an evolving partnership. It's an evolving ratio. We mostly have people who sign up from corporates only. Some of the donors as well recommend that all the mentors should be from their orgs, because they want to promote volunteering within the org as well. So yeah, it's an evolving partnership based on who's funding which year. But yeah.
See, in our case, 80% comes from the general public. Now, the risk is more higher because it's civic volunteering. That's where the challenge comes in, because I don't have a hold of an employee relationship.
Right. So we are maybe mitigating it one step before. A little bit, not fully though. Yeah.
I guess we are over time. I guess they were showing the cards. Yeah.
Okay, I'll ask one question. Okay, if you come under any government regulation or guidance, what it's trying to tell us how we want to identify a person who's what you call a black box in that system. So you say there is some regulation by the government or some guidelines from the department how you have to hire this mentor, how you have to do anything of that sort you have come into, or you have an MOU with the government or something like that. I just like to know.
We have MOUs with governments, but not from the purpose of, from the space of accessing their students, not from
mentors,
the space
yeah.
of accessing mentors. So they give us permission to go into college and recruit mentees. That's the primary involvement of the state as such. So yeah, I'm not sure that answers your question actually, but yes. Other than that, I mean, registered setup, we are a charitable trust, etc. But I don't know that prevents anything from happening.
So issue could be, the one good thing is we're working with others. See, another 18 years ago can decide who's the prime minister or chief minister of this country. They can run a country, decide to run, who should decide a country, then they should be accountable for it. That's one thing, but I don't know whether, see, now See, that's an issue that happened in Tamil Nadu. Now, entire program with schools has come to a standstill actually. Just one incident, the entire program came to a standstill. That's what we are talking about here. It's as long as it goes well, we don't have an issue. But do we have a mechanism?
Which is the primary reason why we don't do digital with young children.
That's a
We don't
good
Can I
have-
also take a shot at it? See, last week, if you had come here, last Wednesday, same time, in the same place, there was a program on the release of a book called Thrive with AI by Dr. Ravi Bapna. Now, Dr. Ravi Bapna is a professor from the US University. Now, he also at early stage, he was doing consulting for Bumblebee and Tinder and all those companies, right? Now, the technology today is very evolved to kind of filter a lot of all these, because there is a risk probability that it calculates upfront, and unless it is low minimum, like you said, you can't avoid zero risk condition. Therefore, the platform itself has got its checks and balances in place. So that is,
Yeah, but, yeah.
See, probably if something like that's happened, then I think you will figure out more answers for that. Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, because there's one more question.
it will make breaking news for 1 or 2 days. After that, something else.
Okay, taking into all this consideration, where does your liability end?
Yeah.
Against a mentor or a mentee? Anything untoward happens, as this gentleman is trying to put it.
Yes.
So there should be some what about border wherein you can't cross this. So this is what is your end liability, and if you cross it, this is what you're going to face. Maybe that is what he's trying to tell, because he is mentioning about an incident, right? So there should be some something, some border should be there.
When you incorporate companies in India, when you incorporate companies in India, you can incorporate companies as private limited, LLP, foundation. I think they are a trust. So the regulatory mechanism completely changes. So it changes depending on how you incorporate the organization incorporation as an entity gives you those.
See, even the corporate case, we have raised complaints that the mentees have told. We told the HR, then like what is this sexual harassment? Posh came into play. They had Posh with our students, and they even fired very senior people at corporates. So, see, sometimes we could think that mentees, see, for example, mentees not reporting could be a success, or it could be a failure of our system also. What if it's happening, they're not able to raise their voice actually. So we really don't know what is actually happening. So there are few came and told, I want only gender mapping. All these things are actually happening, and you rightly point out, right, beautifully, that workspace and what is happening here, more girls, mentees are showing interest. We go to the workspace, more are boys. This mismatch is always happening, and we are running at this risk.
That's why I asked that question early in the moment, like in the earlier session, like
And there are many companies who tells the moment I say it's a 1:1 program, they say, no, we don't want it. Now, how do I bring them to the opposite? Because this acts against the entire spirit of promoting mentoring in the country, right?
I mean, I think, like I said, I think I can only answer from our experience, of course. And I think the thing that works for us is, and I don't know your mentoring program just to do it specifically, but I don't know of another mentoring program that puts as much human effort behind the digital program as we do. The number of hours of human effort that goes into making a
that's exactly my question. If you go to my previous slide, you spoke about 1:1 speaking, right? Now you put in so much effort in 1:1, how do you scale the program then? So either it's quality versus quantity. Now where do I stop this now? And I know how Mentor Together happened before this Mentor 2 program came. There's no app. Everyone was manual. You can't scale. That's why you went to the app. Now you do this program. Now every human element you add to it, cost increases. Now how do I scale now? That's the challenge. So where do we stop then?
So, but Karthik, what is your, like, what are you focusing on? What is team members focusing on? Quality or quantity?
Sorry, one second. I just want to make it
What do you want?
Some of you want to stay, you can, but I think other sessions have started.
I think this is the last.
This is the last session.
Okay, let me give a quick 2-second response to this. See, please go ahead. So here is how systems evolve. Okay, you look at Bharat Matrimony.com. Prior to that, prior to the app, what was there? There was manual matching, right? Now after the app, what is happening? The manual matching doesn't go away. See, it's just a first filtration criteria. The subsequent part and the tamasha post that happens, and similarly,
pretty much like
This is the platforms are always scaling mechanisms. What you cannot handle manually, you automate certain matching processes through algorithms, and it will give you the first set of intent. No, behind the first set of criteria, there is always that last mile connectivity has to happen through a human agency, right? Therefore, I think, to me, what they will do is that as it scales, as the app scales, there will be a core team from within, which will again go back out of 1,000 things which have matched. Let me do sampling or take 100 out of that, and the final matching has to be in alignment with the original mission with which you started.
That's what they're doing.
That's what we are trying to
See, one
explain.
solution, because AI is coming now, every call AI will also join, record it completely, transcribe it, you build automations around it. Okay, these things flags, now you can go see what has actually happened. So they can also do AI could also launch. These are kind of solutions.
It's a wonderful response and it's in our pipeline, but it defeats the entire purpose if they have numbers and they're talking to each other outside the platform.
Not outside the platform, within your
No,
platform.
I'm just saying they can also do that.
No, see that you need to probably restrict it, telling that it's a violation, don't do this.
How would you know?
No, let them do it. At least you are not at stake, right? Tomorrow you are telling you agree to my agreement, but you went outside, something happened, I am not responsible.
Again, one example.
From them.
Yes, we
Okay,
have
I'll give you one example. Every time I travel to the airport, after that the Ola cab driver or Uber will say, "Hey, मेरा car रख लो, अगले बार." You call me directly. आपको I will give you at a lower rate. Not even once in all these years I have been able to do that because the dependency on the platform is such that it provides me so many mentor options. So for that one particular mentor, unless I'm so interested in this, why would I go? So you can never beat the existence of a platform, right? Even if you go outside.
See, you can't.
I have one last question. I may leave.
No, go ahead.
Yes, yes.
We should all leave. But yeah.
So, this may little away from this particular topic. Like, do you have any particular mechanism to measure the progression of this mentoring program or particular mentor or mentee?
Which is the session? Post-match? Someone tell me. Tomorrow.
Yeah, then tomorrow there's a post-match.
Yes, there's a session on post-match,
We are
what we do
having a
post-match, what we look at, and then also 2:30 tomorrow, if I'm not wrong, on just evaluation, on measurement only.
Yeah, no, what I'm asking is like you measure everything within this one app or when it's just about matchmaking?
No, everything happens within the app.
So you will have an admin view to it where they can
So
make
the-
a visualization.
the mentees have to do like with self-reported surveys on things like work readiness, career networks, self-esteem, self-efficacy, etc. And they do it before they start mentorship and after they finish mentorship again. So we have before-after perspectives. And we also track for a smaller group labor market, right? Did you get a job? If you got a job, then what kind of a job? Full-time, part-time, what is it? So that these are some of the things that we track in our program.
Do we have any success rate?
We would be, I mean, in tomorrow's session it might come up.
Yes.
So it would be more detailed around how we do it or the insights of our program itself. Yeah. So,
Has any
I have one
matching
last question
failed?
on the portal.
Like,
yeah, so maybe
the ratio.
yeah, I
Is there a
got
video
your question maybe after this.
So,
To talk, yes, but
Yes, for the
before they
sessions.
match, nothing.
No,
Yes.
once the session, once a mentor-mentee match, then for the sessions, if they're video it through the app.
On the app itself.
Oh, so they have to connect only through that.
Well, it's recommended, we can't enforce it, of course.
Or they can take any other. And then once the session is done, they mark it complete or something.
Yes.
So there are mandatory logins or few things they have to do on the app itself. So that if they complete it, it will be automatically shown as completed on the app. And then she had a question like, are there possibilities around matching getting failed? So yeah, definitely. I mean, like match is something that we algorithm works on looking at what they have selected. But in future, again, like if something is not aligning, it's not something that we call it as like it will go on 100% sure. But again, if there's a requirement, we again look at a rematching possibility. Yeah.
I mean, if it's not working for either party, either time's not aligning or just mentalities are not.
Yeah.
We've spoken a couple of times, we realized, hey, this is not working for me.
We do consider and then we pick
They
it.
have an option to tell you that they
Yes.
want a rematch.
Yeah, so throughout we have team members connected or even in their mentorship. So there would be a point of person from our side itself who will be engaging with the mentor or the mentee or separate contacts or as a group. So yeah.
So do you have any plan to making it an open source platform like any
Right.
the whole idea of scale, right? Like we can only do this much. If we want to do it at this intensity, we cannot do 5 million, right? So the option is to offer the platform and say, okay, you do your own 50,000 in that with this intensity. So it's in the pipeline for sure. But yeah, I don't know the exact details of when, but we built it, the platform pretty much ourselves. So we do want other people to have access to it.
Who's the right person to talk to about this?
About using of the platform?
Yeah, or collaborating on a level where
You can start with me and then I'll point you.
No, you want to download the app? It is free.
As an org, they want to use
program
it.
for my students. I have volunteers also, but I need a platform like this.
Where are the funds coming from this? Corporate fund the mentoring program?
Instead of me building from scratch, there is a pioneer. Why not use
Those are audience. Yeah, this is for good. How many mentees do you have?
Close to 600 at this point of time, I would say. So I run a scholarships program. I come from Oxford only.
What? Who? Oh, yeah, I met somebody from Goa based.
Yeah. So I was wondering like if we can wind up and then if there's anything maybe separately we'll cover up.
Thank you.
Oh, the recording doesn't need to continue.
That's it. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Ashita and Vidya. We have some letter of appreciation.
Oh, yeah.
Vidya, since you have already received, please edit the sheet to give you.
Thank you so much, Arpita.
Thank you, everyone.